Today's topic, all about safeguarding what is most likely your largest asset, real estate. Let's get started.
All right, so today we're talking about trusts, right? This is a topic that a lot of the times a lot of people might think that this is for the older generations, but really it can apply to anybody and everybody, especially if you own real estate. You don't have to own real estate, but for a lot of people, that's their biggest asset. And so we want to make sure that you're protected, your family's protected, and that's kind of why we're bringing in this topic today. So we'll go over a couple quick examples of actual real case stories of how it's worked for our clients, talk about when you should be using a trust, a couple of myths, and then we're also going to talk about a workshop that we have coming up where we'll bring in an attorney and actually have a little bit more small group setting, and we'll give more details about that at the end of the video.
Very cool.
So for clients that we've had recently, how has that kind of worked out for them?
A couple stories here. So we recently had a client, we just closed with them, but the process was almost 2 years. So this is an example of someone who did not have their property in a trust. And they came to us and like, hey, Eric, my mom just passed and we want to sell their home. Turns out that she didn't have a trust and it got complicated. There were several, beneficiaries that were, wanting their piece of that estate, and they had to then get attorneys. They had to go to what they call probate. So the probate courts had to get involved, and this is what happens when you don't have a trust. There's no direction on what do you do with your assets. At the end of the day, we sold the property, and the money's got divvied up between who was supposed to get that estate. However, it cost them tens of thousands of dollars when it should never have done that. And then also the market. They could have sold that property in 2021 and
Peak of the market.
And probably pocketed more money. They lost a little bit. It ended up working out, but it was super stressful.
Well, and it's stressful at a time where you're already dealing with a major life change one way or another.
Exactly.
Right? Like if you're the trustee or one of the beneficiaries, something has happened to a family member that creates a lot of new emotions. It creates potentially tension that maybe there wasn't there before, and then we discover it. When I hear you say it took 2 years, what I hear is attorneys saying ka-ching, 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 right? And that cost goes up. And so something that may have only cost a couple of $1,000s to set up initially ended up not doing it, ended up costing them tens of thousands, and I've heard of examples going over that $100,000 mark when it becomes a very complicated situation. But what about success stories?
So we just recently, took months. I think it's 3 to 4 months, something like this. Same situation. Family member passed. We want to sell their property. This one just had a single home, so it wasn't complicated. Because they had that property in a trust, we were able to use our ready to sell program and get that property prepped and ready to go within weeks, really. And it was sold. The monies were divvied up, and everybody, at the end of the day, the outcome was positive, right? It's still sad somebody passed on, but that's such as life. And at the end of the day, though, everybody was happy and the outcome was very successful. We got multiple offers, as a matter of fact. We got, I think, almost 10% over on that. Pretty strong.
It allows the family to then move on.
Yeah.
Right, that it's like, okay,
Totally.
This kind of sad mourning chapter, now everything's settled with the estate. They can move on and go on to their next chapter of their lives without having to now go through a 2-year grueling legal battle over a house. So we hear kind of a lot of misunderstandings of who might use trust and who doesn't use trust, right? So like when we're sitting here and talking about real estate, and maybe you hear in the news of, like the billionaire who has to get rid of all of his properties and it's going through all the different family members. So is this something that's really only for rich people, or who could be using the trusts?
Really anybody. As soon as you own a piece of real estate, anytime you have some valuable assets, you should have a trust set up. And it's not just for the elderly, the seniors, anybody at any age. You never know, right? Car accidents, illnesses, things can happen, unfortunately, at any time of your life. So it is never too early to put your assets into a trust. I think that's the biggest misconception. It's like, I'll just wait till I'm a grandparent because now I've got grandkids and I've acquired 3 different rental properties, and so now I do need that trust. The reality is, it happens. You can put your cars in a trust. You got collector cars. Some of these cars are going up in value like crazy too. So, never too early to start that. That's probably one of the biggest misconceptions.
Yeah, a lot of people think, oh, well, I have to be a senior at that point, right? Or I will do it when I get to my final home. But really and even if you don't have children or you don't have grandchildren to give it to, the property is going to go to somebody,
Yeah.
right? And so it's a little bit more, do you want to decide, or do you want to let the courts and the lawyers decide where it's going to go and see who comes out of the woodwork at your passing to try to make claim to that property?
And the other one is just some tax advantages too. So when we do our class here, we'll have an attorney here that can speak to this better, but there's a huge advantage to having your assets into that trust when it comes time to gift or people inherit that property, I guess I should say. That there's a larger amount of sum of money that can be passed through that is tax-free. But I'm excited about this class. I mean, I think it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, because we're real estate agents, right? There's one very specific piece that we can help out there. We certainly don't want to be saying I'm giving tax advice or legal advice. That's where we bring in the professionals.
Yep.
And so that's what we'll do. There will be a link to sign up at the bottom of this video or in the comments down below. Let us know if you're interested in something like that, and we'll let you know when the next one is happening. What we're going to do is partner with a local attorney that we've vetted out and trust in the area, have them come in, so then that way they can also answer those very specific questions for you. And if anything, you can also get a relationship going with them and decide for you, is this the right step for you, or exactly how do you need to go about that process?
Yeah.
And another kind of myth in there too is that people might think, oh, we're bringing in attorneys, that costs a lot of money. We're looking at maybe $2,000 to $5,000 in a lot of cases to get the initial trust set up, right? There's always a high end and a low end.
Sure, I mean, it costs something to get the trust set up, but this class is really, it's no cost. This is for our clients, which is great. So we're going to provide this basic bit of information so you can make a sound decision on what's best for you. With our relationships that we have, we exchange business referrals and things like this, and so people will help us out, right? In other professions. So we do this with CPAs when it comes to getting your books ready, and this is another big part of your real estate planning is your trust. So you don't have one, you need to get one, and we're going to talk about that. And maybe you have one you've had for years that needs to be tuned up. This is for everybody, right? So any one of you out there listening, you've done business with us already, or maybe you're referred to us, or you've just been subscribed to our channel, we haven't met you yet, any of this, you're all welcome. So just reach out to us though so we can get the sign-up sheet going and present all this.
So basically you can either fill out the form or shoot us a call, text, or email, and we'll let you know when the next one's happening.
Awesome. We look forward to hearing from you. Make it a great day and talk to you soon.